so happy we alive.
And so this country continues to be dependent on alcohol and tobacco. And it's just kind of like jealousy as well as bigotry that the other drugs are seen as threats and persecuted, but totally irrational, no scientific redeeming reasons whatsoever. But again, because we're a nation of laws, doesn't mean we're a nation of rationality or science. And science, hey, you can really abuse science. Like, we have a contemporary society, a modern, technologically advanced society that's based upon Middle Ages concepts of causality. Somehow, there's been a regression to concepts of being possessed. And the possession is by evil demon metabolite, or devil metabolite, or wrong drug. And so we have this whole industry that has been built up on evil metabolite, although none of the participants would ever say that there was a connection between job performance and drug testing. And it's, however, a wonderful management tool to keep workers in their place. I mean, good for targeting dissent and gratuitously utilizing it. And you don't have the worker coming in the front gate demanding that the president take a piss test. So you might say it's somewhat class connected. Otherwise, in this egalitarian...
Let me just say, it certainly adds a lot of paranoia and anxiety to the job, too. Instead of feeling someone has a secure job, if they feel like that in any second they can be tested and lose their job, that kind of undermines the whole security of having a job.
Well, the toxic side effects happen to be the destruction of trust and renting that asunder, which is the drug testing policy merely inflames mistrust, which is oftentimes part of bad management that has to resort to these kinds of intimidating artifices in order to do what they think is controlling their employees. But they're really fooling themselves, since they're merely setting up this resentment as being treated like a child or being suspected. I happen to subscribe to Eric Burns' The Games People Play view of interactions. If you're treated like a child, you act like a child. And then you respond accordingly, instead of encouraging adult, responsible, empathetic, appropriate behaviors. The institutions are frequently attempting to impose this demeaning perspective of this authoritarian balance of things, of Leviathan state or religion. I guess I just get really upset about the idea of people being sheep and pasture flock to be ruled over by various tutelary powers. I think that God gave us some brains, and that if he or she didn't want us to use it, that she would have made us like, leave out whatever group you don't want. Anyway, this whole drug thing is very complicated because it affects trust at the highest levels and the deliverance of good government. And I think that we have the rights as citizens to expect this, but there's been such a degradation in civic accountability and public accountability that we are working to remedy. And that's one of the things we've learned in California as the pervasiveness of this behind the color of authority, corruption, and bad faith, cruelty, and ignorance, that they really need a very stiff dose of ethic cleansing. And I'm dedicating myself to working toward this in the state of California. California, since we passed Health and Safety Code 11362.5, it's been this question of compliance at the local level. It's very much like what happened to the American military during the Tet Offensive, and passage of Prop 215 was the Tet Offensive. And now we're in the post-Tet era, that they've realized that they can't get any support from the invading devils from inside the Beltway, that they can't count on lots of money being sent their way to prop up this bureaucracy. They're not going to send in the troops. And so basically, if we practice proactive structuralism in California, we get it. Proactive structuralism, simply put, is if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably not a criminal conspiracy. And so we, in this absence, this anarchy of any kind of social institutions to bring safe and affordable cannabis to seriously ill Californians, have set up these different cannabis centers that are organized differently, that are dedicated to this, as well as being a situation that provides a sense of, I'm not a criminal anymore, I'm part of citizenry. And this is one of the most empowering, enabling things that I've watched happen, people realizing, well, I have some say in government, and I'm especially out in the rural areas. I'm going to go to the Board of Supervisors and I'm going to make us think about this. And it's gradually starting to take hold. We've had a lot of patients that were charged with marijuana possession and cultivation we've won their cases. They've been acquitted by these jury trials. And I must admit that my specialty practice has switched to partially medical legal affairs, where I am an expert witness, going to learn about the different types of ignorance that will be put forth by the prosecutors and the different people testifying against the witnesses. Have an opportunity to educate, because if they ask me a question from the prosecution team, they really have a hard time shutting me up unless the judge intervenes. And so I look upon being cross-examined as opportunity to educate. And we are gradually making progress, but it's not without a lot of pain and suffering, not without a lot of horrible, horrible social incidents where the weakest, most vulnerable people in our society are beset and attacked by the institution that's supposed to keep them safe and protected. It's as if we've got this thin blue coven that is administering a type of justice the way Rosemary's Baby was played out. And this is what so many of the California people that are trying to comply with the law and treat their chronic conditions are faced with. That's another thing that I've learned, is all of these conditions are serious and chronic. They're not going away. And they've mostly had very poor experiences with side effects from the conventional medications. The inadequate control of the symptoms themselves, plus adding all these terrible, debilitating side effects, have made cannabis the drug of choice for them. I just can't get over the comparative safety that cannabis has. By comparison, it's by a quantum amount. With patients freed from toxic side effects of different drugs. You just name one category of drugs, even the ones that are over-the-counter, the non-steroidal anti-inflammatories that kill 120,000 a year. The gastritis, the liver problems are definitely not there with cannabis. And cannabis at a very low level, virtually a homeopathic level in some people.
Can I take a second? I wanted to say this is www.mooresongs.com, and I'm Patrick Moore, and this evening we have with us a very distinguished person who is doing so much for so many people.